Hey, what's going on, guys? Sam from New Marketing U, and today I'm talking to you about the law of paradox. So, what is the law of paradox? Why do I believe that the law of paradox is so important to know and to understand? Why do I think that the law of paradox is so helpful for not only your life but your business and your mental health, your well being, and etc. 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 So, simply put, what is the law of paradox? Well, the law of paradox basically means that everything that we know about the universe so far, the known universe so far, is basically the truth and a lie at the same time. And the law of paradox for me pretty much defines absolute truth or ultimate truth. And it's been a law that I've tried to pick apart to deny it, but I haven't been able to do that just yet. And if it is denied, then that's great, because it means that we're actually moving closer to the truth of things and what the truth actually is. So before I break this down with many examples, and before I give you some tips and tricks to actually use with the law of paradox, I wanted to talk to you about my journey to find the law of paradox itself. So my journey actually started on my existential journey, right? So to figure out why we're alive and why we do certain things, and as fun and exciting and crazy as we do things. And basically, I was raised in a Christian household, so what I'm about to say will probably only have, I mean, not for the rest of the video, but just to explain my journey to this, would probably have references about like Christianity and Christian references and stuff like that. But if you're, I don't know about Islam and Judaism as the three like Abrahamic religions, I hope I said that right, you'll probably understand some of these things. But if you don't, I will try to break it down as much as I can. So yeah, I was born in a Christian household, raised in a Christian household, and we were told that the only reason that we're here on this planet is because of God. God wants us here, and God wants us to be good so we can go to heaven, and if we're bad, we'll go to hell. And the paradox part of, religion, especially like Christianity and stuff like that, wasn't just about the scriptures and all the other things that I thought would contradict itself. It actually started in the beginning, in the book of Genesis, which is the first book of the Bible, the first chapter of the Bible. And it started in this place called Eden. So I'm going to be focused on the board so I can write this stuff visually, so hopefully you can follow along and actually see what I'm saying. So it actually started in Eden. The Garden of Eden is called, right? So if you don't know what the Garden of Eden is, I'll just fill you in. The Garden of Eden was a place that God had created, or it said that God had created this place, and it was like paradise on earth. It had all the animals, it had great fruit and vegetables, etc., etc., etc. And this was probably the last thing that God had created after he had created everything in the known universe that we know so far. And when he put all these fruits and vegetables and animals, he was bored and he wanted people. He wanted people in it. So God created this person called Adam. And maybe, I don't know if you need to know this, I'll skip over some stuff, but God created Adam from mud, right? And then he created a partner for Adam because he didn't want Adam to be lonely. So he created Eve. And he created Eve in pretty much a similar way, but he actually got one of Adam's ribs and gave it to Eve to create Eve. And it said that God created these people in his image, so these people would look sort of like God or just like God, right? And what actually happened here was God had said, look, I created this paradise for you, and you can live this paradise exactly how you want to live it. You can do everything and anything you want to do, but there's one catch. There's one thing that you cannot do in this paradise. And this is, I know I'm not a good artist, I'm not Picasso or whatever, but you cannot eat the fruit from this forbidden tree, this forbidden apple tree. That was his one catch. So you can do everything, you can eat all the other fruits and vegetables and do whatever you want to do and control all the animals in there, but you cannot eat from the forbidden apple tree. Okay, so you can't eat the fruit there. And what actually happened, this is where it gets really interesting, just stick with me here. What actually happens is that one day Eve gets really curious and she decides to walk over to the apple tree, and she is fascinated about what the apple tree is and why God said not to eat the apple from the apple tree. She is then met by a talking snake. I don't know, I'm not sure if you can see that or if I actually did that right, but she's met with a talking snake. Now this talking snake, for people that don't know, people that know the story know, but for people that don't know, this talking snake is actually the devil. And the devil tempts Eve into eating an apple and says to Eve, Eve, the only reason why God doesn't want you to eat this apple is because he doesn't want you to know how good it tastes. He doesn't want you to know certain things and secrets and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, nothing will happen if you eat the apple. He was trying to seduce Eve. And it worked. Eve was seduced and she ate the apple and she was very happy. I hope you can see that on the camera, and she was very happy. I drew a little smiley face. She was very happy with eating it and it tasted so good. And then Adam came to Eve. Here's Adam again. Adam came to Eve and Adam was pretty much in shock about this situation. Ooh, I dropped the pen here. That's it happens. I dropped a pen, but Adam was pretty much in shock about Eve eating this apple. And Adam said, Eve, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? God said, don't eat the apple from the apple tree. It's forbidden. And what happened here? So then Eve told Adam that, hey, nothing happened to me. I ate the apple that God told me not to eat. Nothing happened to me. I didn't die or anything. And it tastes really good. And Adam, after some convincing, also ate the apple. And he was very happy. He ate the apple. And what actually happened here, and how this even happened, was that it had said that God went away when Eve and Adam went to eat the apple tree. It said God went away, so maybe he was attending to some business elsewhere or something like that. But he went away, so this stuff happened when God didn't know. Just to do this for you quickly. So it said that when God came back, I don't know where God went, but when God came back, this is God, he's a bald man with a beard, or we'll just draw it like that. When God came back, he asked Adam, Eve, where are you? Because he couldn't find them. And let's say they're hiding behind this tree. He said, Adam and Eve, where are you? And he couldn't find them, and he finally found them hiding. And Adam and Eve answered, well, they come out, so he found them, they came out, and they said, we were hiding. And then God asked, why? Why are you hiding? And Adam and Eve said, we were hiding because we are unclothed. We have no clothes. That's why we were hiding. So obviously, when you're naked, you don't want to just reveal yourself. But then God asked, how do you know that you're unclothed? How do you know that? Right? And this is where it gets really interesting. And God then found out that the reason why they know is because they actually defied his orders and ate of the apple tree, and now they gained some sort of awareness. And God was not happy about this at all. I'm going to do a frowning face. God was not happy about this at all and kicked them out of the Garden of Eden. And this was the first sin of mankind. Okay? So that is the story of the Garden of Eden in a pretty simple way. So God kicked them out, and that's how mankind sinned. That was the first sin of all time. Now, this poses a very, very series of serious questions. Okay, that's a tongue twister. A series of serious questions. So the first thing is, if you've read the Bible or religious texts, or you would assume what God is, you would kind of know that God is said to be omnipotent and omnipresent. So he's like all-knowing, all-powerful, and he is pretty much everywhere at the exact same time. So for example, he's with me in this room, he's with you over there in Canada, he's also with someone else in Australia at the exact same time. He's in every single room. Now, if you rewind to the part that I said, or I'll just say it to you now, when Adam and Eve were eating the apple from the apple tree, God would have seen this happening, right? But in fact, he had went away, which I don't know where he would go, but he went away at that time and was doing something else. And then he came back and he said to Adam and Eve, where are you? And then they came out from hiding. Now the question here would be, firstly, where did he go? And why would he need to ask that question? Like, where, Adam and Eve, where are you? Because he would know exactly where they are and what they were doing. Okay? Now, let's say you say, well, he already knew and he wanted to test them. Okay? I'll go into the next question and the next example. Okay? So, that's the first series of questions. But the second question would be, firstly, why did he give Adam and Eve a choice of eating the forbidden apple tree? And I'll give you an example, right? So, a big thing in religion, and especially in Christianity, is you'll see people say God gives people free will. So that means you are given a sort of right to choose whatever you want to choose without being controlled by God. And think about it now, right? This is where it gets really interesting. Here's the paradox. If God gave Adam and Eve free will, and he set up the situation where he makes this incredible garden, and then he says, hey, eat everything, do everything, but you have there's this apple tree, don't eat from the apples. He has gave them free will. Now the problem with this is that since God is all-knowing, all-powerful, and he's very wise, and he has every power, so he can pretty much see into the future, the point of giving free will actually didn't make any sense. And I'll give you an example. Let's say I give you free will. So I'll say viewer. So the person watching this. I give you free will. Okay? And I say, you have a choice between Coke and Pepsi. Okay? So the viewer, you watching, okay, I'm God, I give you free will, and you have a choice between Coke and Pepsi. So I'll let you choose now what you'd want to drink, Coke and Pepsi. Okay, so you've probably chose, right, Coke and Pepsi. Now, no matter what you choose, I already know what your answer would be. Now, I don't know if that will actually show on camera or not. So let me just do it down here. I mean over here. I'll do it up here again. Okay. So let me take this thing out actually. Okay. Okay, so I give you, the viewer, free will. And you can choose between Coke and Pepsi. But remember, I'm all-knowing and all-powerful, which means I know, I can see into the future. I know which one you're going to pick. I still give you free will, but I know which one you're going to pick. Now, the reason why this becomes like redundant, it just doesn't make sense, is that if I knew what you're going to pick before I gave you the choice to pick it, why would I still ask the question? Now, because think about it, if I said, what do you want, Coke or Pepsi? And you were thinking Pepsi, and you were going to choose Pepsi, I already knew that. So why would I ask? I should have just gave you Pepsi, right? Now, if you... Now, this is, I'm going to break this down. Now, let's say you could tell me, no, free will means that I'm not able to know what you pick because the power of free will overrides my ability to see in the future. It sets you up on another serious question, which is, how powerful am I? And not just how powerful, but actually how smart or wise am I? See, why, like, think of it like this. Why would I give you the power of free will, right? And why then, knowing what you're going to pick, allow the power of free will to override what I can see? This means that I'm either not that powerful if free will can override me seeing your option, or I am the second thing. Okay, I'm just going to write answer. Okay, hopefully you can see that. It's bad writing, I know. But whatever answer you pick, right? If you were going to say Pepsi, then you changed your mind and you said Coke, and I couldn't see that, it means then I'm not powerful. Like, not OP, okay? So, not OP, if you know anime, OP just means overpowered. So, I'm not that powerful if I can't see which one you actually choose, right? Or, if I can see what you choose, even if I give you free will, it means that I'm actually sadistic. That's where it ends up. I'm actually someone that enjoys watching people suffer and playing, and I love playing with people's like minds, and I just love people like suffering. Because if you think about it, if you go back to the Garden of Eden, if God knew before he even created Adam and Eve that they're going to go against the rule that he made for whatever reason, and that they're going to sin and he's going to kick them out, it means that he might not be overpowered, but he's cruel and he's very sadistic. He just loves watching people suffer. Now, how does that relate to religion now or Christianity now? I'll answer that for you right now. So let's say I was God, right? And what I decided to do was create Earth. Okay, this is the Earth in my like drawing. I decided to create Earth, and I decided to play a little game with people on Earth, because I created these little things called people, and these are people right here. Okay, and I said, I'm going to put you on Earth and, you know, give you life so you can do things and enjoy yourself and experiment and maybe do good things, maybe do bad things. And I'll give you free will so you can do whatever you want. You could kill people, you could torture people, you can do whatever you want, right? Now, I have certain rules though, okay? My rules are, if you're like, if you praise me, so if you say, hey Sam, you're the greatest, I love you, and you do that every single day, and you're a good boy, I will put you into heaven. If you praise me, but then you turn out to maybe be a bad boy, or you don't praise me at all, I will send you to hell. Bear in mind, heaven and hell are for eternity, so it never ends. So if you go to heaven, you'll probably have everything that you want and you'll be happy. If you go to hell, you'll be burning in the lake of fire forever and ever and ever and ever. Now, before I made this planet and I put you on here, I could see into the future. So I knew what every single decision you would make before you were even born, before you were even conceived. I knew every single turn you were going to make, every single decision, and I knew ultimately where you ended up. Now, then, if I knew all of that, why would I still do this? Like why, what would be the point of this? And the only two reasons, and you're right, would be I'm either a creator that actually doesn't know what I'm doing, or I'm not that powerful and I can create a certain amount, right? So I am, again, not OP, right? I'm not OP, or again, a sadist, I'm sadistic. But there could be an actual third option here, and that is instead of me being not OP or a sadist, I might just not exist. You see, this way of thinking isn't the thinking of a higher intelligent being. Like, this is not the thinking of a divine entity. A divine entity would never think like this unless the divine entity is purely sadistic or not OP or was actually created by people, which means that divine entity doesn't even exist, because there's plenty of flaws and loopholes in this story already. Now, you could tell me multiple things like, well, that story is just metaphorical, and Jesus would talk in parables and this and that and that and that and that. What that actually means is that it suffers from human logic. And flaws, because a divine entity that's the wisest, the most powerful thing, actually wouldn't have flaws. And if I was a divine entity, I wanted people to live, I don't know how I want them to live, I would never trust humans and human logic and flaws. And here it just doesn't make sense anyway, because why would I create creatures with such flaws and like that? I just have no like logic, are not logical. Why would I create such creatures in the first place? I don't know, but it just proves that the divine entity isn't actually divine or wise at all for actually doing all of this. Now, this is going to be a long video. I'm seeing it, I think it's like 27 minutes, but now the reason I need to explain that and the paradox and the law of paradox, sorry. That was my journey actually on finding the law of paradox. So I needed to pretty much explain that. The reason why this is so important, and I think I wrote it on my phone here, so I'm just going to go and check it out. The reason why I think it's so important is because there are certain things that religion and even the law has taught you that if you do listen to, you might actually be doing a bad thing. I mean, this is a thing of like morals and ethics, right? But now think about what the Bible would say, or what religious texts would say, or what laws would say, and if it's actually right or wrong. And you can use this by measuring up the law of paradox. The first thing to make it make sense would be lying. Okay, bad handwriting, I'm sorry. The first thing would be lying. Lying in itself is a paradox, because they are good and bad lies. Okay, so good lies are usually things that would help people. Okay, so this is not just helping you, but helping other people. These will be good lies. And bad lies would usually hurt, offend, or actually just better you and not other people. And here's an example. Let's say you're in a concentration camp, right? You're in a concentration camp, and you have the choice between, you can either tell the truth and kill 100,000 people, or tell a lie, right, and save 100,000 people. by doing the right thing, you're actually doing a bad thing that kills, right, 100,000 people. By doing the bad thing, you're actually doing a good thing and saving 100,000 people. Simple. That's simple to grasp. Everyone can understand that. So I'm going to do another one. Okay. And the reason why I wanted to state that is because if you had listened to the Bible had said, I think in the Ten Commandments, it said, do not lie. And then Jesus himself had stated to have said, Jesus said that, let your yes be yes and let your no be no. But actually, that could be a very bad thing, right? So that causes like some confusion as well. Now, lying again, I'm not going to write an example of this, but lying again could be on your job interview. So many people have lied on their CVs and lied in job interviews to get a job, and that is like the norm. Okay, now people would say don't lie, but yet they would lie to get a job. And some people would say, no, that's like not lying. I'm kind of telling the truth. I'm not. If you're not telling the truth, you're doing the opposite of telling the truth. You're lying. And if you see interview videos, even if you check it out all on YouTube, they'll tell you techniques and stuff to use. Like if your boss was like this horrible person, they'll say, don't say your boss was horrible. Say your boss was amazing, because you want to get the job. So that's something that's bad. The next one is murder. In the Bible, it says, do not murder. Yet there's many cases in which God had ordered the killings of millions of people. The law says, do not murder. But there's many exceptions in which some people have murdered and they've gotten away for good and bad reasons too. Either no evidence or they did the right thing. Murder, bad murder, right? Bad is when you kill innocent people. So you kill innocent people for there's probably pretty much no rhyme or reason. You're just killing people, right? Maybe you enjoy it, maybe you're just crazy. And then there's good murder, in which you actually kill the person that's killing these innocent people. And here's an example, right? So let's say you have children in a primary school or something. I'm not sure what they call it in the States, elementary school, I don't know. But you have children, maybe you don't, but you see a gunman walking into a school with like an AK-47, and he can clear classrooms and kill like tens of children, like tens or hundreds of children, right? And clear classroom after classroom after classroom. If you kill him before he kills those children, in my eyes, ethically, morally, you've done the good thing. You've done the great thing. Now, if you don't kill him and you have an opportunity to stop him, right? You've actually done a bad thing. That's the thing, that you've actually done a bad thing. So lying and murder are also two paradoxes. Okay? They're two paradoxes. And yet, we're made to feel bad with them. Okay? So, now here's something that's very twisted. And this is rape. Now, for me, this is not a paradox. And there's never an instance in which you'll need to do this, right? To ever take part in this, right? So this is not a paradox. But now, if I said to you at the beginning of the video, everything in the known universe is a paradox, does that mean that the paradoxical law is wrong? Well, no, I don't think so, because that in itself goes against the law of paradox. Bad handwriting. And that in itself is a paradox to the law of paradox, because I'm saying everything is yes and no, and then there's some cases where things are yes, or some cases where things are no, which means that it actually, how can it be, it's like a paradox within the paradox of the law of paradox, right? So where did I put the brush? I'm not sure where I put it. Oh, there it is. So if there's a law that is yes and no, even to the law of paradox, it means that the law of paradox is actually strengthened even more. That's the very exciting thing. So that's the thing that's not. Now the next one would be life in general, not a system or process like lying or murder or whatever, but it would be life in general. Because the person who is a let's say a nihilist, so someone that believes life has no meaning whatsoever, and someone that is like purpose or meaning driven, right? These are two different things, but I believe everything is like a spectrum, right? So these are two different ways of thinking and two lifestyles, but both people are right. If you say what is actually life, can life have meaning, or does life have meaning? The nihilist could be right, life has no meaning. And then the person that's purpose and meaning driven can also be right, which means life is a paradox. Your perception on life itself is paradoxical. How can it make no sense and just be just chaos, and at the same time be like organized and can make sense? This is because the person that chooses to see purpose in life and creates purpose has made meaning in life. Okay, the person that has chose to create no meaning has made no meaning in life, but also because it's like a circle, right? If you say life has no meaning, you give life its meaning, nothing. If you say life has has meaning and it has no meaning, it's like a balance of things. It just doesn't. It pretty much doesn't make any sense. How can both people be right? That's the paradox in life itself. Okay. Let's see what else I got. I tried to write down as many as I can. Complaining. Okay, so complaining. Complaining is a paradox because there's good and bad complaining. And this is something I had to learn the hard way in life and in business. If you complain, right, and you complain to the person that can do nothing about it, you're doing bad complaining. which actually doesn't help you. If you're complaining to the person that can do something, your complaining has a purpose, and that's good complaining. And I'll give you an example. Oh crap, I need to stop hitting this. If you're a married man, married woman, whatever, and you think your husband or your wife is doing something bad or something that you don't really agree with, and then you complain to their friends or your work colleagues or whatever about them, you're doing bad complaining because you won't sort your situation out. If you are complaining to your wife or to your husband, but you're doing it in a nice way, you're doing what I would call good complaining, because you're going to the root of the problem and getting it fixed. Okay? Because if you think about it, when you complain, who can actually fix the issue? The person that can fix the issue is the one that created the problem. That's the only person that can fix it. Now, this is why when you see people on Facebook, on social media, I don't go on social media now, apart from like Facebook, and that's like business. But I don't go on to like scroll. I'm usually signed out. I haven't entered on Instagram in a very long time. I don't comment things. But if then you see people talking about the government and say, wow, the government is so bad, and they want to like kill us, and they want to destroy us, and they have a plan to like do this like evil mind wizard stuff, right? If you're complaining on your Facebook feed about the government, who do you think who's going to fix your problem? Is it going to be like Facebook, or is it going to be your complaining to your Facebook feed, or is it going to be the government itself? Because actually no, there's two people that can solve a problem in complaining, and that's the person that caused the problem and yourself. You can, if let's say, going back to that example, if you have a disagreement with your wife or your husband or whatever, and you tell them and their parents, right? And then they just don't care and they say no, right? They didn't fix your problem. So now you have to be the one that fixes it. And you then can't go back and complain. You then have to find a way to fix that no, or just to do something, to leave. So that's life, and the complaining of life, and the paradox in that itself. What's the next one? The law of attraction. I know a lot of people have probably heard about the law of, I'll just put ATT, the law of attraction. The law of attraction itself is a paradox, because, you know, in one regard it works because it's all mindset. It's how you think. And if you think you're going to be extremely rich and extremely successful, the chances of you being extremely rich and successful are just a tiny bit higher. But if you just wish rich and a successful career or life, it's not just going to fall in your lap and come to you, right? And people take advantage of this, or they go too far with it, because if you say to someone, well, if you think hard enough and you believe hard enough, you'll get it, it's almost an insult, because that's like, I know people have used this example before, but if you have you go to a third world country and there's a starving child, and you tell the starving child, look, if you envision a chicken, okay, I don't know if I drew the chicken right, Jesus, I don't know what I was trying to draw there. Yeah, I don't know. If you envision chicken, then chicken is going to come to you. It doesn't really work. I feel like the law of paradox mainly works in a first world country, because your chances of leaving your environment, doesn't matter where you are, where you live. Well, I'm very bad at drawing. I just noticed that. Jesus. Very bad at drawing. But that was supposed to be a house. Imagine I drew a house there. You have more chances of escape when you live in a first world country than a third world country. So that's why the law of attraction is a big contradiction. Now, now that we're done about life, let's talk about business. We've got about 9 minutes to wrap this up. So let's talk about business. Okay? Let's say, so one contradiction about business would be communication. I don't know how many times you've probably heard about this, not in business but in life, that you need to communicate if you want to get your things across and stuff like that. And in life and in business, this is usually good, but too much communication or too little communication, because communication is a paradox, it could be a bad thing, right? If you communicate not enough, I couldn't find a better word, but if you don't communicate enough, you usually don't get the job done. If you over communicate, yeah, you also, don't know if you can see it, you also don't get the job done if you over communicate. And basically with this, and it's happened to me in business, and it's probably happened to a lot of entrepreneurs and stuff like that, or just anyone in business, where if they want to get a project done and they say, hey, I want to get this project done and I want to do this, right? They'll probably have to send an email to someone and say, hey, can you get this over to me, or can I get this over to you? When can this be done? And then instead of having like maybe one line of conversation between one person and one person, or maybe one person to two people, then it goes back to that person, what would happen in over communication is that you have one line of like a message, and then it gets communicated to this guy from marketing, then this guy from sales, then it comes over here to this guy in, I don't know, accounting, then it comes over here to this guy in something else, in, graphic design, then it comes over here to the website guy. Like it's going in like too many directions. And by that time, you've wasted a lot of time and resources just to do a simple task. And then not enough communication is, you have one line of communication and you won't really know what you're doing. You'll just hop into something. And the paradox of communication can also be very bad. Okay. Okay. Alright. What else have I got? Okay, I got here time. This is a very big one. The paradox of time. So, for people that probably don't know me, and this is the first video you've seen from me, you wouldn't know, but I make music. I'm like a rapper, and my name's like Ability MC. You can search it like on YouTube and stuff. But I rap, right? Although I haven't quit, I'm just taking a break, focusing on like business. But I always pretty much want to do music and continue to do music. See, I've been doing music since I think 2011 or even before that. So it could be like well over a decade. And I've been doing music for, just a very long time, putting a lot of time, a lot of effort into it, in perfecting my skills and what I can do. And I found out some very interesting things. So some people would say, and Gary Vaynerchuk mostly, he would say, nothing good happens overnight, which is true. Nothing good happens overnight. You can't watch this video, sleep, wake up tomorrow, and you're already like $100 million or pounds up. But things do happen quickly. And these, I don't know if you can see this, things do happen quickly. And it's not really an anomaly anymore, because the internet has connected us to so many people, right? Yeah. So it actually doesn't take 10 years to make $1 million, or for the people in the US, it doesn't take 10 years to make $1 million anymore. You can actually make $1 million in 3 years or 2 years or 1 year or even 6 months. Now I've seen people do it in, I don't know, the space of like 6 months, 5 months. And before, this was the relative truth. It takes 10 years. Now that's been cut down to about, let's say, 1 to 3 years, if you do it right. And I can vouch for this as well, because in the years that it took me as a musician, and there's many factors, like maybe my music wasn't good enough, maybe it wasn't, it didn't reach a certain audience, it wasn't targeted for them. That's up to pretty much you to decide if you're into like hip hop and rap and stuff. But in over 10 years, okay, and there's many people I can point to, it's not just me, but over 10 years, the kind of income or the money I've made from music has been pretty much like very low, very, very low. And in the space of a year or under, doing what I'm doing right now, I've managed to generate more than I've made, and that's in a year or under, so it could be like, I don't know, 6 months. I've managed to generate more than I did in 10 years of music. And actually, because I've had other stuff before, so like a video like business and stuff like that, I've managed to generate more than so many other things that I've been doing in under 6 months, and sign on like big multi-million-dollar clients. I'm talking about clients that are like 50, well, usually my client base is in America, so there are $50 million, $100 million, one that's has done over $10 billion. That's a B. I don't know, that looks like a heart. And I've helped connected with these people in under like a year and generated more than any other of the businesses that I've had. And the paradox there is time, because time is, some people will say time is made up, but we have had to understand time about how many days there are in a year, because of how the earth is rotating around the sun, and then the sun is doing this and that. We've had to kind of understand and put one universal time system down, right? But yeah, time is a big paradox, because things you thought wouldn't be possible in a space of time is actually now very much possible. So that's the thing about time, that someone would tell you, hey, you can be a multimillionaire in 20 years. Yet, if you follow someone like Dan Pena, even Grant Cardone, but someone like Dan Pena, making $1 million, especially now, isn't as big as it used to be. And what's another one for you? Now, I have to make this really quick to try and end this. But another one would be high ticket pricing. And you see coaches and consultants now sell their services for like, I don't know, let's say $7,000, right? Because they think it's worth that. And basically, the objective of this is to work with one person for $7,000, so it's worth your time. But you see, so many like billionaires that have a low ticket pricing system, like Jeff Bezos with Amazon, where here in the UK you pay like £75 for, I don't know why I did that, £75 for a year of Amazon Prime. And Spotify, you pay like, I don't know, £10 a month, okay, to listen to music. That's a low ticket, which means more people will actually buy. And the paradox between them is that both are correct. And it just depends on if you're doing if you're taking on clients and you're doing one-to-one services, you may want to do that. But there are times where you may want to mix up the two. Okay, and find a way where this all makes sense. So there's a paradox in pricing. I don't have much time and I want to end this quickly. The next one would be, what can I say? The coaching and consulting industry itself. So the coaching and consulting can itself be a paradox, because a lot of people in here, right, especially coaches, fall under something called Solomon's paradox, right? So that's kind of like the law of paradox, but it's following something called Solomon's paradox. And basically that means that they see your problems better because they're not in it. But they usually, it's hard to solve their own problems. Okay? So that's Solomon's paradox. Now look guys, I don't have long left, but I do hope you enjoyed this video. I do hope you found this video extremely helpful. If you like this video, make sure to leave a comment and I'll reply with something, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And yeah, hopefully I'll continue this later. Bye.